What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's daily devotional, man, and we are going through the book of John. We're in John chapter 11 through 15. This is Trust in Jesus Ministries. As we read and study the scriptures, I hope that you trust in Jesus more, that it helps you to learn more about the person of Jesus, because he's infinitely worthy to learn about. And as you learn about him, man, you will love him more deeper and dearly because of who he is, man. He's literally the quite the most wonderful person in the universe. So I'm just glad that I get an opportunity to tell you about him, and that we get to learn about him together, because I am learning so much, man, about this. It's been impacting me a whole lot just reading through John again. So I'm glad that you guys are reading with me. But we're in John chapter 11 through 15. So if you haven't had the opportunity yet, go ahead and stop the tape, check it out, see what it has to say, come back, and we will answer the 4 questions. And if you have already read, then we're going to go ahead and dive in, man. So what's going on? Well, Jesus has told the disciples that it is time for him to go back to Jerusalem. And they're like, what? Jerusalem, man, you just about died there, man. They trying to kill you, bro. Why you trying to go back? And he says that he has to go back because uh, their brother Lazarus. Well, that's what we're about to get into. So let's not get too far. But what he does say is that he's protected, because he's walking in the light of what the Father has him doing. So there's no need to worry. Though the disciples have definitely a reason to fear, in the sense that he was just about to get stoned, about to get murdered by a mob. But Jesus says there is no reason to fear when you are in the power and the will of the Father. So that's already a lesson right there, just to start the podcast out, man. Is just when you're in the will and the desire of the Father, man, there's no reason to fear whatever it is. We're invincible, man. So let's take that. But let's get into it, man. If you have already read, we're going to jump into it. If you haven't, stop the tape, check it out. John 11 through 15. So what's going on? What is being said? Well, Jesus tells them why they have to go back. He says, our brother Lazarus, man, is asleep, but I'm going to go there and I'm going to wake him up. And then the disciples are like, bro, if he's asleep, man, he'll survive. And so they know he's sick, but sleep and rest oftentimes is the thing that causes a person to get better. And so they're like, man, if he's asleep and he's chilling, man, he's gonna get better, man. But they didn't recognize that when Jesus said sleep, that he meant he was dead. Even though this is a normal euphemism in that time, it was like they just couldn't connect it together. Maybe because they were scared and they didn't really want to go back there. But they didn't connect the fact that he was dead. And so Jesus tells them plainly, man, he's like, bro, he is dead. But then he says something. This is the thing. He says, and for your sake, I'm glad, so that you might believe. So this brings it all together. When I talked about earlier that it was for the glory of God, he says this sickness will not lead to death. Well, this sickness, um, when he says doesn't lead to death, it didn't mean that he wasn't going to die. We obviously see that he's dead. And we're going to see that he's going to be dead for 4 days. But what it meant is that he was going to rise again. Or some believe that the name pros, not the name, I'm sorry, the preposition pros can also mean purpose, like carry with it a sense of purpose. And so he says that this sickness is not for the purpose of death, but it's for the glory of God. And then we find out that it's also because he loved Mary and Martha and Lazarus. He loves that family, that this here happens. He says, for your sake. So these are 3 different things that is happening. 1, for the glory of God, and 2, for the sake of the disciples and the sake of the brothers and the sisters. He says that they might believe. That they might believe. He says, I'm glad this happens, that we weren't there, that they might believe. And then he says, let's go to him. And he's talking about Lazarus. He's like, let's go to him like he's still alive. Like there ain't no thing to the game, because Jesus knows that he's going to go there and he's going to show off the glory of God. Let people recognize who God is, the life giver. The life giver. He says, let's go to him. So what is this saying about God? Well, I think what we first have to think about is that God is infinitely trustworthy. Even in all of these things, all of these circumstances, all of this confusion about what's happening, because they don't understand at first that Lazarus is dead. They think he's asleep and he's going to get better. Then Mary and Martha are wondering probably why Jesus hasn't come yet, whenever he supposed to have loved them so much, supposed to be real cool with them. And so everybody's really confused and broken and struggling about the situation. And Lazarus is dead, you know? But we have to realize when we see the end of the story that we should trust in Jesus. Jesus is still calm and collective in all of this situation because he knows what's about to happen. And the matter of fact, he tells them what's going to happen, not in the raising of Lazarus, but the effect of revealing God's glory through that action. He says, you will believe. That's the purpose. So God is infinitely trustworthy. God is infinitely trustworthy, even in the confusing, the struggles, and the situations we just don't understand. What's this say about man? Well, we have so much reason to trust Jesus, man. I mean, he's going to reveal and show us so many wonderful things. But also, we have to remember that what Jesus is doing is for our benefit. It's for our good. So the thing that God is doing these things so that we can trust him. And then we are being given ample opportunity to trust in him as he reveals things that are confusing to us. So we are gaining reasons to trust Jesus as we hold on to him, man. And we got to trust him in it. We've got to trust him in it. How do we apply these truths in our lives, man? Well, the thing is what's going on? What's happening in our own lives where we need to place our faith and trust in Jesus? Not a faith and trust in which we believe as in who he is and that we will follow him, but let's actually follow him. Let's be disciples, or let's remain in him. That trust that we initially placed in him for our salvation, if he's going to save us from sin and death, then what else would he easily help us through to help us to be secure and provided for? So what area in your life do you need to find that you need to place more trust in Jesus in? Even in the situations that are very, very perplexed, very confusing, and very hard. Hey, I appreciate you guys for listening, man. And remember that he does all of these things so that we might trust in him.